Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pro Wrestling World Talks with Dan and Mac.
Well, folks, do you have that smell in the air? Do you have that sense? As wrestling fans, we are now entering the holiday season. The road to WrestleMania is officially on, and it begins this Saturday night. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning or good afternoon. You're probably listening to this either tomorrow night, because we were recording on Thursday. So you're either listening to this Friday night or Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, getting ready for another edition of the Royal Rumble, coming from Lucas Oil Field Stadium in Indianapolis. I am your host, Daniel Burke of PWW Talks, and I am, of course, joined by my best friend and my wonderful co-host, Mac. Thanks again for joining us.
Oh, shit.
That's right, Bob.
Pleasure as always, but yep.
Oh, shit.
We're here, my friend. We are here. We are at the road to WrestleMania, the beginning, the very first stop. It's like you're hitting 290 and then all of a sudden you're on 495. We're there, brother. We're there.
I think we have a lot to talk about before we even get to that point. It's funny that you start immediately with this. And meanwhile, I'm still got Saturday Night Main Event stuff. We got the stuff that happened on Raw this week, which I thought was pretty interesting stuff. SmackDown's been cooking too, obviously, but it's been a long couple of weeks to get to this point. And I know that a lot of the time we don't always talk about the amount of time it takes in certain cases to get to this point, but the last PLE, aside from Saturday Night Main Event, was over a month ago, I feel like, at this point, right? It's been December, no?
I think the last PLE was actually Survivor Series, because we had a Saturday Night's Main Event in December.
That's right.
Then we had a Saturday Night's Main Event last week.
Yeah.
So this is our first PLE of 2025, and it is one of the big ones. And the fact, too, that it is the running unopposed this year, pretty much with no other entity in sports. They're not having to deal with the NBA. They're not having to deal with the Super Bowl or the big game. You know how those jerk-offs are.
What about AEW Collision?
Oh, AEW Collision. They don't have to worry about AEW, which, again, got throttled this week by NXT. NXT, just under 900,000, about 875K.
Oh, man. No, I wasn't even talking about that, so hold on. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the numbers from Saturday. Collision versus Saturday Night Main Event.
Oh, yes.
That was a throttling.
That was a throttling. I think the ratings really weren't that bad for Raw, for Saturday Night's Main Event, considering they went down only slightly.
It was a 1.25, something like that.
Okay. What was the ratings for Collision?
Okay, so preface with, I didn't see the official numbers. I'm just going off of sources that I saw on social media. It was below 300K. Again, that is the number that I saw on social media. I don't know if that's the official number, but I'm just going to say that, in the case of where I saw it, they have really no reason to lie.
But that doesn't include the numbers on Max. That doesn't include the numbers on Max.
I mean, in the words of Chandler Bing on Friends, I don't care.
Exactly. NXT, 875K this week. So they are still around hovering. They're staying steady. They're staying steady between almost 800 and 950K. And it's a solid number. I think it's something that CW is happy with. Where AEW this week, 602,000 for Dynamite. Holy Jesus. And you're giving these guys $155 million a year? Whoo!
Oh man.
Their two shows now on TBNT and TBS don't even get 1 million a week.
All right, I'm sorry. This needs to be discussed. So I googled it, right? AEW Collision viewership numbers.
Yes.
So obviously take this with a grain of salt. I'm googling it. I'm trying to verify the source right now. It looks like what Google did is pulled cage side seats, which again, cage side is no reason to lie. And Collision question mark. AEW's Saturday primetime show on TNT had 250,000 viewers with a .07 rating among 18 to 49.
Holy shit.
If I'm not mistaken, which again, take it with a grain of salt, because I'm trying to find this as we go. Oh, here it is. Got it. So the second SNME. So again, this is from Cage Side, just prefacing that. Second episode of this, first of the year, WWE produced under their latest contract with NBC Universal, aired on NBC, streamed on Peacock. Nielsen doesn't track Peacock, so the numbers WrestleNomics has don't include any streaming viewers. So again, this is not going to include the viewership on Peacock for SNME, Saturday Night Main Event, or for AEW Peacock streaming on HBO Max, whatever.
Yes.
According to those, last week's Gunther/Jey Uso that headlined the show was watched by 1,494,000 and did a .33 among 18 to 49. That
Good
is
numbers.
down from the number. It is. That is down from the number of TV viewers the December 14th edition had by about 6%. It's a steeper 21% drop from the previous demo rating, however. But listen, we talked about this before. We talked about it last week. With ratings, whether it's this or Raw on Netflix, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You're
Yes.
always going to get more people to tune in to events like this, especially the one-offs, the PLEs, things of that nature.
Does not include next day and 2 days later.
Exactly.
You know.
And the whole Netflix thing, I said it before, it's like, of course there's going to be a drop-off. You stacked the first show.
Yes.
Of course.
Of course it's going to be considered a drop off. But also if we're talking, here's a scary thought right now. So back in, so it's 250,000 for, that was for Collision this past week. Okay. So in 2021, 2022, when NXT left, and they were chased off Wednesday nights for Tuesdays because of AEW's domination as far as the overall rating is concerned. From the ratings this past week, combined Collision and AEW Dynamite, the A show,
they don't hit 1 million.
They hit 850,000. You know who hit 875,000 this week? NXT.
Yep.
Meaning that NXT is getting better ratings than AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision.
I mean,
combined.
Can you blame them?
No.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, right, you have to take a couple things into consideration. So first of all, when AEW is beating them, they have the full roster, right?
Yes.
Of good talent, I'm saying, right? They had Kenny at the time. They had Cody. Sammy Guevara was more active. A lot more guys were on television. More eyes are on the product. You had celebrities in the crowd, much like, ironically enough, what WWE has really come on strong with loading the crowd with different celebrities.
Yes.
And featuring them on the TV show as well. But these are things that AEW at the time was doing well. When we had Scott Hudson on a couple months ago, one of the things that he said that stuck with me is back years ago when he was still on WCW television as the ring announcer, he is saying that there's kind of like the generational or era thing, right? Where every so often you have to reinvent what you're doing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, maybe, but you have to come on and do different things, right?
Yes.
So you see that a little bit with what I would say the production value of WWE, it's always been better than AEW. Let's be real. But
Yes.
now they're bringing in the drones. Now they're bringing in more dynamic camera angles, right? They're doing different things, and it's working. Whereas AEW is kind of like in this stagnant era of we're just gonna put the same guys on television, we're gonna keep doing the same thing, and there's no real advancement of their product, whether it be a storyline or just the overall product. And some of your established talent is not getting younger. Whereas WWE has NXT, as we're talking about, and they keep filtering them up to the main roster. We saw it with Mello. We've seen it with Braun Breaker. We've seen it in the past with guys like Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn and all these other guys. AEW doesn't have that.
No. The atmosphere at the show last night, someone says it's like a morgue. They were in a 2,000 seat building. They were in a 9,000 seat building where they sold 2,000 tickets. I've been saying this for a while, and I know that everybody is just, well, they're still in business. They're in a death spiral. They are going to continue to be in a death spiral until finally it gets to a point where that's the only thing that's keeping this thing going. The fact is that he's in a position, probably with the fact that Mercedes Moné has not drawn a dime for him. She is the highest paid woman wrestler on the planet right now, and I guarantee you she has a favored nations clause, meaning that anybody that makes more than her, she has to get bumped up. So they can't go after somebody like Becky Lynch. They can't go after somebody like Charlotte Flair. They can't go after somebody like a Bailey or somebody like that, because there's no way Tony is going to be in their wheelhouse, and because of the fact that if he brings in anybody that's a bigger star than Mercedes Moné, he's going to fucking hear about it.
Well, two of those people, I'm just going to say it real quick. Two of those people you just mentioned, Bailey, I think, is fed for life. I don't see her jumping ship ever. And Becky, I think, is so close to kind of at this point retiring, even though she signed that new contract. Seth is still there. They give her as much time off as she wants. I don't think she's going to jump ship.
No, probably not.
I think so.
How dare you?
How dare you think so? We're talking about AEW and contracts and things like that. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm just hoping because Daria's in my spot, my bed.
Okay.
I'm going to have to kick her out.
Okay.
Because I'm not booked.
I understand completely.
She's not booked.
Do you also want to put the heat on too, so I don't die and freeze in here? What? Okay. I'm getting a gimmick.
I don't know. It might be zero.
By the way, Steph gave me her men's Royal Rumble winner on who she thinks it's going to be. And
No, save that for later.
Oh, come on. I can't say it now.
Nope.
All right, fine. No, but we're talking about the fact that they're definitely in a contract with favored nations. And so really anything that you give her, okay, and anybody else that walks into that company that's going to want more money, she's going to have to get a bump. Like, she's got that old school, I think Daria is going to be making an appearance here. I see her being carried in as we speak. The queen has arrived. The princess has arrived for camera work. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, the star of the program has arrived. Oh, good Lord. Squishy beans.
Squish the beans.
Oh, God. Oh,
she could not
boy.
be more irritated looking.
Yeah, she is annoyed by this whole thing.
I'm sure she is. I could tell.
She's not leaving, though. She's sitting next to me, so who knows? She might stick around. She might make biscuits. I don't know. She's kind of sniffing in the direction of the microphone, so who knows?
Make biscuits.
Yes, exactly.
Make the
The
biscuit
biscuit making. But the heat is about to go on, too, so I fully expect her to be next to this stove in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Good night, honey. I love you. Yes.
Boo ran.
So we have this whole thing with AEW now, and it's just hysterical. Did you see the video that I sent you? I didn't expect you to watch the whole thing because it is something that needs to just kind of be discussed.
So, hold on. All right. So what Dan had sent was the Renee Paquette interview with basically all of the Death Riders, right? This was on AEW television, if I got that right. Is that correct? This was aired.
I believe it was aired on television, yes.
Okay. So just again, this was aired on AEW television. It is John Moxley's wife, Renee Paquette, who is an announcer or backstage interviewer, whatever you want to call her, for AEW television, right? If you didn't know that, now you know, right? I broke kayfabe. I apologize. My point is, she says all of this as if she's this like award-winning journalist, and it was a little for me kind of like I don't care, Renee, right? So I'm thinking, because this is outside of her house basically where she is starting this, so I'm thinking, okay, she's gonna walk in and then they're gonna interview the guys, so I'll be on a couch or something like that. No. She opens the bulkhead to her basement and then walks down into the basement. So, Dan, it already lost me at that point. I'm like, what is this? Like neckbeard society that you just let into your house, Renee? Like, what's going on? And then she sees John Moxley and Claudio first. Cesaro, for those that don't remember him, or know his AEW work, it's Cesaro from WWE. And I don't really pay much attention, because by now, I've already laughed at the point that she's going into her basement to interview her husband. Now, on top of all of that, now she starts interviewing them, and I realize this is a fucking 18-minute long segment, or interview, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And I have already laughed hysterically at the point that, again, she's gone into the basement to interview them. So I say this in the group chat that Dan has posted this in, and I said, basically alluding to the fact I'm not fucking watching 18 minutes of this.
No, I did not either.
Okay. But then you tell me,
there was no chance.
No, there's no shot. But then you tell me, or this person tells me, I don't remember if it was you or him.
Boo ran.
But you tell me to get to the pocket. So I do. The dude is in one of those, like, miniature one-person saunas in his ring attire, and he doesn't open the door, so he's talking through the glass door, and I'm just like, what am I watching right now? And he sounds, like, stupid because of the fact the glass door is still closed. And he's talking like this because it's behind the door. Like, what am I watching? Do people, like, actually find that engaging? I'm genuinely curious.
Even the diehards, I think, they've been turning on this thing for weeks. And I think that it has become to the point, and I said this in the chat the other day, and I didn't even need to watch this thing at all, because I've seen this thing from day one develop. I expected this thing was going to be a total fucking disaster. And it continues to be a total fucking disaster. And the way that it has been sold, or at least presented, is the fact that this is probably going to go on till August. Because they want to have Darby Allin be world champion. They want him to do it at All In, because that's probably the only time they're going to get him back, because he's not in the company right now, because he's getting prepared to climb Mount Everest, which there's a chance he might not come back from climbing Mount Everest.
A lot of people don't.
Exactly. So your top star, the top baby face that you want to build the company around and you want to hand to, there's a possibility in the 50 percentile range, he might not come back. So
Let me ask you a question real quick about Darby. Because
yes.
I think this is a great point to kind of make, right? And I feel like we made it about other superstars. I feel like we probably made it about him in the past too. Does him being world champion, is that believable?
Yes and no.
Okay, fair enough.
No, from the perspective of, yeah, his size. I get that. But, and the reason why I like Darby so much, number one, I think he's a very interesting guy. A lot of the vignettes and that type of stuff is things that he edits and shoots himself. Like he directs stuff. He writes. He's a producer. A lot of it's good. A lot of the early stuff he did was really, really good.
I did like the stuff he did with Swerve. I didn't care for that.
Darby?
Yeah.
Eh.
Like going to whether it was his house or somebody else's house and beating up him and his friend or whatever. I was just like, what's the
okay.
Like that was
not everything he's done has been home runs, but a lot of it has been good.
A lot of the shit that AEW does, period, is not a home run. So there
No.
you go.
But I would say that his average is in the biggest knock on him is the fact that he's never beaten a top star, I think, except Cody once for the TNT title.
Well, let's be real. That's more Cody than him.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't lose, but the first match that CM Punk has is in 7 years. It's Darby Allin, so Darby's doing the job.
Yeah.
But to be quite honest, he had a tremendous impact and resurgence of Sting's career.
He did.
Like where he was able to kind of keep that shelf life going. And Darby to me is a better working Jeff Hardy. Meaning that he can do all the Jeff Hardy shit, but but he has more wrestling skills.
Dan,
and
I love you, but that is such a low bar at this point in time.
Okay.
If you said this in the early 2000s, I think we could have a conversation. I think saying that now, I don't want to say it's disingenuous.
That is it is disingenuous. It's a fair. The problem is I really don't know how to kind of put him in a category.
Oh, I 100%
because
on the right track though.
It's hard. It's hard to put him in a category because he's not Jeff, because he's actually he's he doesn't do drugs. He's fucking straight edge.
I was waiting for that.
So he's not Jeff. He's the complete opposite of Jeff. I think he's a better wrestler than Jeff, but Miles. I think that he's also willing to take. He's also a better risk taker than Jeff because he does some shit that I'm like. When he fell off that ladder through that plate of glass, I thought he's an idiot, but that is spectacular.
That was a good spot. I will give him credit where credit is due. That was an excellent spot.
Or the Cracker Barrel match where he did the coffin drop through the Cracker Barrel.
Yep.
Like stuff like that I just sit there and I say, you know what? I like this guy. And him coming out in the skateboard's fun. Like every time he has a return and he comes out in the skateboard and he's able to do like a dive off the skateboard while coming down on the ramp. Like
I don't know. I always with the skateboard, it's always like settle down, Tony Hawk, settle down.
He kind of reminds me more of Bart Simpson because of his size.
Don't.
And that's not a knock. It's just.
No, I know it's not. Just don't do that. You're insulting Bart Simpson at that point.
I figured you'd be a Darby guy.
I again, the reason I ask is because me personally, I don't think him as world champion is believable, really, right? You have so many other guys that are far bigger than him, right? So one of the guys that you mentioned sometime in the last few weeks, I don't remember which episode it was, but you said that Powerhouse Hobbs was back. They were presenting him as a baby face. He's going to lose to Mox, obviously, right? And I understand that. So just throwing his name out there for a second, you look at a guy like Powerhouse Hobbs, his body type and everything, and then you look at a guy like Darby Allin. But John Moxley is not going to lose to Powerhouse Hobbs. He's going to lose to Darby Allin. And listen, it's not a knock on Darby. Don't get me wrong. I think he's incredibly talented. We just talked about some of the spots that he has had. I've enjoyed watching that. I do think he also takes unnecessary risks, the plate glass being one of them.
Yes.
There's a lot that can go wrong with that.
Yes.
Especially from the height he jumped from, and just in general, it's glass. So I
Cry me a river.
yeah, so it's funny. I was saying it, and I was immediately thinking like we're missing a Jack Perry reference here somewhere. But I just again like I'm not Vince McMahon. Like I don't need the top guy to be the biggest guy, but I also am slightly in the camp of he should look like a top guy. Cody's not the biggest guy in WWE either by any stretch of the imagination.
But he looks like a top guy.
But he looks like one exactly. And that is where I see a big difference between the two, between Cody and Darby at that point.
I respect that part of it, and I think that's admirable to be able to admit that. I think today's day and age in this industry that after like we've dealt with like Rey Mysterios and I can think of other guys that size that were world champion. Yeah, he does. But Darby also has, I think, that speed skill too. But also too, he's somebody that's like willing to do whatever it takes to win. So that's somebody that you have that makes you dangerous. And I think that's one thing that's believable with him, because it's almost like he's got that New Jack vibe because of his ability with weapons and also to do crazy shit. But also at the same time, he is a good worker, like a really good worker, like where he can, I agree with you and I don't. Like it's weird because there are some points that you're making and it's like, you're right. But then there are other points, but it's also the same. I don't know. I hate to be that guy that sits there because if I think it's a strong gimmick and I think it's believable, I don't give a shit about the size. I don't think about that. I think it's believable, and it's just like, if the people can get behind him. Plus, at the same time, if this motherfucker comes back from climbing Mount Everest, that's believable to me. Like, that puts him in a different category of believability, because then that's somebody who's just like, okay, you're going to have to kill him to win the title. Like, you're going to have to kill him to beat him because this guy climbed Everest, for Christ's sake. That's something he's going to be able to put on his tombstone and edict his whole career.
You know what I just thought of too, though?
What?
That is going to make me hate it is how on his D the AEW announcers are going to be about it. He's climbing the top rope.
I know.
Just like he climbed Everest this past year.
It's going to be Jim Ross and fucking All In, and we're going to hear that. He's climbing the top just like he climbed Everest. I think
like, Tony's
it's just, you're going to hear it. You're going to be like, oh my God.
I think Tony's going to do it too. I'm telling you.
Tony, Shivani's going to do the same. Like, oh God, I can't believe it. He's done it. You know, it's, as a booker, as someone that's not as a booker, because I'm not a booker, but as someone with a booker's thought process, I would have to be looking at Tony Khan right now and just being like, there's no fucking way you're going to get 6 more months out of this. You need to pivot. You need to pivot now. it's not going to work. Your ratings are going to go. By the time Darby comes back, this match could happen. If you stay the course with the Death Riders, because I am here to tell you folks, and I am not saying this with any bias, I am not saying this with any, because I don't want some asshole that listens to this that says I'm some WWE fanboy. I am here to fucking tell you, someone that has lived through the original ECW, the original WCW, the original UWF, everything, every major promotion in the history of this industry that I have ever looked at. The Death Riders angle is the worst main event angle in the history of any major fucking promotion in the history of the industry. Put it in the fucking book. It is a waste of everybody's fucking time. It is a self-jack-off session for the third best member of the fucking Shield.
Oh my goodness.
That's all it is. And he's brought these 3 fucking guys. One of them is pretty good, and Claudio. The other one is a fucking midget who believes nobody on the fucking planet in the history of the industry can beat him. Refuses to do fucking jobs.
Oh, shit.
Every fucking time he's got to do a job, he's got visa issues. And then you have the biggest fucking gas pump attendant in the history of the industry, the most successful one. And these assholes are part of this group that we're supposed to believe in, is supposed to hostily take over AEW, and we have no fucking idea yet, after 4 fucking months, on how they're gonna do it.
That's a bad word.
God almighty. It is fucking terrible.
That's a
awful.
bad word.
I'm sorry. I can't.
Oh,
Oh, shit.
Oh my goodness.
but am I wrong?
No, you're not. That's the thing.
Thank you.
No, if Pac didn't have the issues that he had, I'd love the guy. But it's just every time there's some kind of an issue.
I got
Claudio,
to lose. I got a visa issue. Fuck you.
Yeah, Claudio's always been good. You know, like even when he was, in WWE, he was good. Just,
They tried.
Yeah, well, Vince didn't want to push him.
No. The fact is they tried, and it's just I think with them trying to, I love it how he went there, and then they gave him the Ring of Honor World Title, and just be like, see, we made him world champion already. It's like, oh fuck you.
That's Tony though. That's
yeah. It's just, and I get it. Like I get the guy is in a position where he probably got paid a lot more money. He feels like that they've paid him a lot more respect, but I'm sure he's looking at the roster right now and he's thinking to himself, and he's looking over at WWE right now and he's thinking, oh, maybe I'd finally get my shot.
Well, all I'm going to say to kind of end this AEW conversation, because we have a lot more to talk about, is no shit. I think there's a lot of guys that either have never been in WWE,
like Cesaro versus Gunther.
No, but I don't really want that.
That'd be sick.
It would be, but I don't really want that. But there are other guys in AEW, whether they've made the jump in the past or not, or never made the jump, that look at WWE and they're like, shit. And I can think of a few that were there that are probably going to want to, if not actively trying to, go back.
Adam Cole doing his promo with the Costco boys.
Malachi Black, actually, but yeah. Which,
well, yeah.
I think it's ironic that Selena Vega is now going to SmackDown, by the way, and LWO is not. I wonder if that means something. Aleister Malachi, whatever your name is, Black.
Well, they can always put her back with Andrade because that was a money team too.
They could do that. I wouldn't hate that.
I wouldn't hate that at all.
But I think they need. I don't know how to say this the right way here, but they need more women on SmackDown right now to give Tiffany something to do. I think they have enough, but if you're going to keep Bianca Belair and Naomi and eventually Jade Cargill and this weird trio, then you need more women on SmackDown.
I think Tiffany's plans. I'll talk about that for the Royal Rumble, but
We'll get to that point.
I'm sure that's going to get set in stone. But
I agree.
yeah, no, Zelina going over, I think, is very telling for what might be happening, or putting her with Andrade, which I think is a good decision if they decide to do that, because that is a winning team. The question is that what is Andrade going to be doing, and what, because he's somebody that I feel like you kind of need to get something in a direction for him, and kind of figure out what you want to do with him, to kind of figure out if you're going to make him a mid-card champion, or you have other plans. Because
he was it the speed champion for a little bit?
Yes, he was.
So I mean, you could do that. I don't think it's necessary, obviously, to keep doing that, but that is an option. It is a little bit below a mid card, unfortunately. But
it's like, what is WWE speed? It's like, what is this? What?
It's that thing.
Yeah, I know.
It's
that thing.
Nobody watches.
Somebody does.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. All right, so Dragon Lee is your current speed champion.
Oh, I'm sure he's happy he made that move.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. Candice LeRae still is the women's speed champion.
He's looking at Penta right now, and he's just like, motherfucker.
Yeah. It's like one of those, like, this could have been us things. That's what it is for Dragon Lee. It really
Axiom is like, well, I'm good. Like,
yeah. Axiom could just sit with Nathan Frazier and
he's just like, I'm fine. It's all right. Have you seen their tag team division? We're fine.
they could move up to the main roster and challenge, but
exactly.
We'll talk about that when we get to the Rumble with that tag team match, because I don't understand why that's going to be on a PLE.
You got to give the Motor City Machine Guns some time to kind of they deserve the spotlight.
I don't disagree with you, but at the same token, it doesn't make sense compared to the other matches. But we'll talk about that when we get there. First, we still have to get through Saturday Night Main Event. So, Saturday Night Main Event, like I said earlier, 1,495,000, very close to 2 million, only about 100,000 drop off from what I saw previously on the regular numbers when I was checking earlier for those numbers. But
it's not include Peacock either, folks.
Again, does not include Peacock, yep. But the first match of the night, I reordered these compared to last week, and we assumed the order would have been different. So the first match of the evening was Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax for the Women's World Championship. For something we'd seen before, this was not a bad match at all.
No.
Rhea breaking out a code red, I believe it was wow.
That was unexpected.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit, what is that?
Like, what the fuck just happened? Like, that was unexpected.
I like her new ring attire too. I think it. It's not a huge change, but it's.
Of course it does. Of course we do.
No, I'm actually being completely serious.
No,
I know there are those reasons too. Yes, sure. I'm not gonna lie, but it's a change from the all black. She looks a little bit better with the colors, even though they're still darker colors. I thought it looks better. But aside from just that, I think we talked about this last week. This PLE or show, whatever you want to call it, depending on how you watched it, was going to be what we expected. I think this match, for what it was and what we expected, exceeded expectations. But that's a testament to their talent. They've done this before. They know each other well enough at this point, even though it's been almost a year since they were last in the ring together, aside from tag team matches or war games or anything like that. And they showed out. Rhea breaking out a code red, like I said, was incredibly unexpected, but definitely something that made me look at the match like, oh, okay, they're kind of trying to outdo themselves and not dial it in. That's cool.
Yeah. And also making, just doing different things to not check the boxes from I like when they kind of do that, where they add more to the repertoire instead of just, you thought, oh, what you saw in February is the same thing we're going to get now. And it really wasn't like that this time. And, you know, we expected Rhea to win. She did. And
Yeah,
but
I think there was
I
only one finish to the night that we really didn't expect to happen,
yeah,
but it made sense.
it did. Like, it wasn't like I sat there and I was just like, oh crap. I'm like, well, the ending fits. It's just the not the direction I expected.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's just move on. I think the Rhea Ripley Nia Jax match was a good way to start the evening. I think Jesse the Body Ventura would probably agree, and I'm pretty sure he did, and not so many words. But the next match was actually, speaking of the Body of Ventura, he was out at ringside for this match with Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. That was the Intercontinental title match between
Did
Braun
not
and
expect
Breakker.
that.
Yeah, me either. It made sense though.
It did.
But I was a little surprised. But Braun Breakker versus Sheamus for the Intercontinental title. Braun Breakker obviously retains, which was the right move.
Yes.
People in the Sheamus camp are like, oh, it should have been Sheamus. He's never won the belt. Yeah, but it's not the right time. It is Braun Breakker's time for that title. You can still get the belt off him at some point, maybe at Mania, kind of like you did with Sammy and Gunther, and have Sheamus win.
And I hate to say this to Jesse, but Jesse was wrong when he said that he had the foot on the rope at the 3. It's like, no, he had the foot clearly on it like 2.
He did.
Like
That was funny.
Like the referee made the right call, not counting the 3. His foot was clearly on the rope at the 2 count, and I understand Jesse's point of view. I understand the way that he was cognitive, but it did look kind of ridiculous when it was just like his foot was up there at 2.
You know what
His
made
foot
it more
was up there
ridiculous,
too.
though, Dan? What made it more ridiculous is the fact that they showed the replay. He's obviously sitting at the desk, so he can see the replay.
Yes.
And he's still like, no, it wasn't up
He's
there.
still like, he hit 3. It's like, no, his foot was clearly on it 2. Like the referee stopped from making the 3 count because he clearly saw that his foot was on the rope.
Exactly. I was just so like, are you kidding me right now?
Why are you dying on this hill, Jesse? Like, there's other things you can die on the hill with. This is not one of them. His foot was on it too. The referee made the right call.
Yep.
Oh God.
But this was another good match. You know, I for all the predictability of the
That
evening,
fucking spear. Jesus
God,
Christ,
yeah.
on the outside. Like, I'm like,
I thought Sheamus was going to hit his head on that one too, because it was very, very close to the ring steps on the far side near the announce table.
just another talent with a concussion protocol all of a sudden.
Well, it would have been
Great.
bad because
Ugh.
he was right at the edge of the steps where he was, and the camera angle made it seem probably a lot closer than it was.
Yes.
So watching it, I was like, oh, okay, he didn't hit. Okay, it was bad though. I thought it was going to hit, and instead we had that on Monday night, which we'll talk a little bit about before we talk about the Rumble, just seeing how that went down, and there was a lot there. But with this match, yeah, like I was about to say it before, but I think for the amount of predictability of the evening, they were good matches.
Yes.
They weren't blowing me away, but they were showing me some stuff that I was like, oh, okay. You're showing up, you're showing out, that's good. And of course, being, Rumble into Mania season, that's what you like to see. But
Yes.
the next thing of the evening was not the match, but it was the contract signing between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, moderated by Shawn Michaels. I'm a little mad about this. I'm not going to lie.
Why?
Because there was no referencing to Dusty. There was
None.
2 super kicks. Really, you could argue it was only 1 because they really didn't show the Cody super kick very much. They obviously were more in tune to showing the Shawn Michaels one. So my drinking game failed. I was thinking over under 3 for at least the super kicks.
There were people mad that Shawn Michaels only hit him with 1 super kick. with Sweet Chin Music. And
There
they were
people
like,
that were
in
mad at
today's
people
day and
at
age.
all, Dan.
Yes, I know. They're just like a 59-year-old man. It's like,
It's not even the fact that he's 59. It's the fact that Kevin Owens is booked or billed to be your biggest heel right now. And he's getting super kicked by, at that point, as you mentioned, a 59-year-old man. So their argument is, well, he looks weak now.
But
2 years ago, it's okay for Steve Austin to kick his ass.
it's okay for, like, I am sure that Kevin Owens made the suggestion because he's a Shawn Michaels mark and probably was like, yeah, hit me with a super kick, I'll sell it. Because that's the problem that
Dude,
people
I'm
don't
sure
realize.
He was bugging Sean all day about it.
Yes.
You gotta kick me, Sean.
Yes. I am sure he was smiling to himself taking that because Shawn Michaels was hitting him with Sweet Chin Music.
Of course.
That's what you people need to fucking realize sometimes, that these guys maybe suggest that because, hell, CM Punk in recent interviews said recently that he was backstage one day and Steve Austin was there and he's just like, look, I'm in the dark match. Can you come out and hit me with a stunner? He's just like, what, really? He's like, yeah, let's send these people home happy.
Yep, I remember that.
Verbatim, that's what CM Punk said. And I think that Steve Austin backed it up also in a story or two that he talked about in his podcast. So for everybody that sits there and they're just like, well, why did they do it? It may have been Kevin's suggestion. We don't fucking know.
I would not be surprised to hear that.
Exactly. Like, these guys grew up with these guys. Like, they don't mind taking a finish from an all-time great because they're fans of this stuff themselves, just like we are. And that narrative of, oh, it makes him look weak. Does it really? Because of the fact that Shawn Michaels put down how many of the greatest of all time? Bret Hart, Steve Austin, The Undertaker. How many guys did Shawn Michaels take down with Sweet Chin Music? So Kevin Owens is immune to it? I mean, the only guy I know right now that would not sell it is John Moxley. But John Moxley doesn't work for WWE right now.
You're probably right, too. He probably wouldn't take it. You know, if he's going to take it, he's probably not even going to sell it. So
Brock Lesnar, I'm sure, has sold the goddamn super kick. Actually, I think he has.
he has, yeah.
Like, he did it at WrestleMania one year. Like, for fuck's sake. Like, everybody just, they shouldn't have done it all. Why? Why are we even talking about this? Why are we even arguing about this?
I don't know why I'm talking about this. Why are we arguing about this?
No, I'm just saying in general.
I know.
It's just the narrative online from people sometimes. I'm just like, you guys are complete idiots. Just complete fucking morons.
I'm going to say, though, I see the context there of why is 59-year-old man in the ring? Why is he super kicking your biggest heel? It doesn't make it believable, especially going into the Rumble. And
those are probably the same people also complaining about it that love the Jeff Jarrett and MJF stuff right now.
I was going to say I understood their point. Because I do. Like, I get it, right? Like, you're a week away from the Rumble. He's going to be in a ladder match for the WWE Championship, Undisputed Championship, whatever. And I get it, right? Like, maybe this isn't the best time to do this. But at the same token, it's like, well, what if it was 2 weeks ago? Is that a good time? What if it's 5 weeks ago?
3 weeks ago, 4, 5, 6.
That's the thing. It's like, there's never going to be a good time for a legend to come out, no matter what age they are, to attack a top heel. And that's the biggest issue, right? Because, again, it stunts his momentum. I don't think it does, because by the end of the week, you're going to forget it happened anyways, because you're going to be so excited for the Royal Rumble. Let it go. Enjoy the product. If you don't like that segment, there's probably another one around the corner that you're going to like.
Exactly.
Speaking of other segments that I liked, Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu.
Oh, my God.
So we had Jacob Fatu winning this match. Technically speaking, Braun Strowman won the match because Jacob Fatu got disqualified.
He won the battle, but he sure as fuck lost the war.
Oh yeah.
It.
Can I just say one thing before we go into this? Is that please do not let Braun Strowman blade again.
Oh boy, oof. It is exactly what they needed to do.
Oh God, yeah.
Exactly, like it made complete sense, and it made him look like a killer. And you didn't have to really sacrifice anything where Braun loses the match. It's like, oh, Braun technically won,
Yep.
but at the end of it, he still looked like the beaten man, which is exactly what he was. So I didn't really have a problem with it. I thought it was a smart idea, even though, yeah, Braun could have lost and it wouldn't have hurt him. But I understand them going the disqualification route. It was safe, and it brought the point across, like where it doesn't hurt Jacob Fatu at all. He didn't need the clean victory.
No, he didn't.
It set him up and made him look brutal because of the attack and the viciousness of it. So,
Nope, I totally agree. I think it just builds more of a case for him to get some kind of a singles run. Jacob Fatu, I mean.
right.
You're gonna make the argument, I'm sure, or other people. Oh yes, he's had a singles run. Yeah, but has he really though? Like everything he's done has been bloodline involved. Where you could make the argument here that yes, Tama Tonga was out there at some point, but it was to stop Jacob Fatu. Yes, he's been tag team champion technically as like a trio almost with the Girls of Destiny, but again, it's never been a definitive solo run. And when I say it, I really mean hand this man a title now. Like, I've been saying it for months. Throw a title at him and call it a day because he is going to run with it. Where the hell is Shinsuke Nakamura lately? Like, throw the U.S. title at him. Do that. I don't care what title it is. Just give the man a title. That's all I want.
I think the direction will be going there eventually. I don't know when, but I think that people are starting to realize and get behind him in the direction that they need to.
Sure.
And that is that the fact that they see him as a killer. The thing that I think people need to start realizing too is the same thing that I told people 6 months ago. I said, this guy, the problem is he's going to start taking the shine off of Solo. And that's exactly what he's done. And I know what everybody's going to say. They're going to be like, well, like Solo is still like nobody cares. Like, they're going to look at Jacob Fatu and they're just going to be like, yeah, if there's a guy that's probably a tribal chief that could dethrone Roman, it's going to be him. And, I love you, Solo. Like, I don't know how long. I don't even know if that's going to be the direction that's going to keep going with that right now.
I think by the time we start talking about the Rumble, it might be a little bit more clear.
Oh, without question.
But
without question. But I thought it was exactly what they needed to do with
oh yeah,
with Jacob Fatu.
Absolutely. I remember walking in and we talked about it the week before, where it's like, okay, well, we know Jacob Fatu is going to win, and they threw the curve, and it's one of those times where I think the curveball in this case led to a strikeout. Like I 100% think that was the right move after I saw it. They could have had Braun win, which I think, I don't know if it would have really hurt Jacob Fatu, but I don't think it would have worked either, right? Because then Jacob's going to attack him after the match and whatever else. But the fact that they had to stop a match and Jacob Fatu kept attacking him and loses that way, I think that's way better, right? Because it doesn't hurt Braun, it doesn't hurt Jacob Fatu, it doesn't really do anything. Right, and that's, in this scenario at least, probably the best way to work it. They did this with, and I mentioned this last week too. I know I did. I mentioned it with Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. They did something similar, right? Where they had a couple where it wasn't it was a DQ finish. There's no definitive winner for a while, and then obviously Braun gets hurt, but Seth is back, and they do that whole angle, which I think worked. You could do something similar here. It's just going to depend on how much time Braun has left. Braun is a big dude. He's had injury issues in the past. He's not getting younger.
Yes.
I hope he sticks around and has at least one or two more definitive runs where he's like, over, because I think he at least has deserved that and earned that over time. But wasn't your night, bro. It was not your night to do that.
Still one of the most interesting things I've ever dealt with. I remember the first. I remember going to SmackDown, I think back in 2022. I think it was the season premiere, and it was at the DCU Center in Worcester. And it was right after they just brought Braun back. And I remember being there and everybody going crazy when he was in the ring and coming. I was like, and it kind of made up my mind at that point. Yeah, it doesn't matter if this guy is considered limited in my book. He's over as fuck.
Yeah.
And the fact that he does enough where he doesn't need to do a lot. Yeah, he's limited, but it doesn't matter because everything he does, and the true gift of Roman Reigns immediately after beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania, he was the second guy ever to do it. He put Braun Strowman over on the next pay-per-view. Like, he's just this guy that you think to yourself, wow, like, he could keep this run going for the next 6 months and keep burnt. Nope, I'm going to put Braun Strowman over and make him. And ever since, it's like he's been a consistent player in the company. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. I don't know if he has much left at all. I don't know if this is going to be kind of his final run to kind of put over Jacob Fatu so that way he can bow out gracefully. I don't know if that's the direction they're going. Yeah, it's tough because I kind of like Braun. He's just like somebody now. I'm like, not exactly my cup of tea, but I don't exactly hate him either. And he's capable of having a good match also. Like, he's not a complete dud in the ring because he is better than I would expect somebody of his maybe ilk to have in the end.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. It's tough. I think that over time he's kind of earned those spots, right? And I'm looking now, and it's like he's 41, and he's the size that he is, and he's still in shape. Don't get me wrong; he's in phenomenal shape. I think he's gotten more cut and more lean, since his initial debut, or even when he was in the Wyatt family in 2015, 2016, he looks way better now, I feel like, than he did even at that time. Being at 41, you can make the same argument for Damian Priest, who is another guy that is a big guy that is, got lean, got cut. He's also 41. But I know Braun has had his issues over the last few years. I remember in that match with Bronson Reed, the last one where Seth Rollins returned, excuse me, it was reported that he, had some kind of groin injury. I don't remember what it was. And, over time, because of his size, he's going to have issues. You look at other guys that are over, 6'5", we'll say, because Braun is about 6'8", 6'9". You could look at guys like Big Show, like Khali, a couple others that I can't remember off the top of my head that had problems with their extremities, right? Braun is no exception to that. So, given his age and given his issues, I don't know how much he has left. Kind of like you're saying. I hope he has enough, right, for maybe like another run or two as a top tier talent or at least a top tier feud, whatever you want to call it. Because I feel like over time he has more than earned that. It's just kind of a scenario where it's just like this wasn't it, like I said. This was something to put over a more up and coming talent in Jacob Fatu. And again, I don't think that hurts either of them the way this match went. Does it help them? Yeah, I think it helps Jacob Fatu more because he looks way stronger in the disqualification than Braun did, who's just kind of left a heaping mess on the mat. But I just, it's one of those scenarios where it's like, again, please do not let Braun Strowman blade again. Please don't do that. I don't.
It's another way to kind of, because I'm sure they'll put up some gimmick match down the line between these two, and that'll be
I'm sure
kind of Braun's send off maybe, or set off into another. Because again, I don't know how much he has left in the tank.
Yep.
Because the mounting injuries and things. He had two major injuries last year that he was getting over.
Yeah, both were extremities. The one that I mentioned was the groin, and then I think he had some kind of weird partial paralysis in one of his legs.
Yeah, he had neck surgery at one point. I think he had to get some either fusion, may have been fusion surgery. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But he had to get some major work done, and that just takes a toll on you and sets you every time you get cut open. I feel like it always kind of takes a year or something away from your career. That it's going to be harder to kind of come back from.
Yep.
And I feel like that Braun might be headed in that direction, or he is already at that point. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it when he moves sometimes, even.
Yes.
So hopefully, something good will come out of this, and he'll get a proper send off, kind of like we're talking about. But we'll see. But the main event for Saturday night is none other than Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship.
I think to be expected, a real kind of hard hitting type match that everybody really expected to kind of. There was kind of a letdown at the end because I think that everybody was hoping, or the sense was that they were going to pull the switch, but that was not what I expected, and that was not what they did.
Well, they made it believable.
Yes.
Right? They gave you those moments, and they made it, and they did the same thing on Monday with another Sammy and Drew match, but they did it more here, obviously, where it's like, you feel in your gut that Gunther is going to win, but they're giving you so many near falls that you're starting to question it.
Yes.
And that's exactly what this match needed to be, right? It needed those near falls, and it gave Jey Uso the ability to come out on Monday like, I could beat him. Even though he didn't. They made it seem like, okay, maybe he does have a chance at some point to beat him.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to keep this going. That's one way to also put it out there that Jey might now win the Rumble and challenge Gunther. He might get him again at WrestleMania. You never know. You never know if that's going to be the direction they're going to go. Because Jey is still a real popular figure, and I think even him losing a lot of these big matches sometimes, I don't think that in the end it's really going to hurt his drawing power, because I think he's somebody that people want to get behind regardless. So I don't think they've proven it. Like, it doesn't matter if he loses, because he still comes out with the heat and everybody's going to go crazy for him anyways. So it's kind of like at this point, almost like a bulletproof type gimmick. I love the finish. I thought it was great. The reversal into the power bomb, and because it did make it look like, again, that Jay had him on the ropes. And again, Jay could go out there on Monday and be like, I could beat him. And he could. He didn't this time, but you never know if he could do it next time. So it was a believable finish. It was one in a sense that it got Jay the bragging rights to be like, I think I could beat him. But it also showed that, Gunther is still a force to be reckoned with, and it's going to take a Herculean effort to take the belt off him.
Yep, I totally agree. I said it in the chat after the event that regardless of just that one match or all the matches, as I kind of mentioned before, despite the predictability that they all had in terms of who we felt was going to win, they put on good matches. And again, even if they are predictable, that makes it a little bit more enjoyable, at least when it's a good match, right? So you can sit there and suspend disbelief a little bit, especially for that match. Because like I said, there were so many near falls that you're like, oh shit, is he going to do it? Right? And it again, you suspend that disbelief. But that was Saturday main event. It was a good show. It was what they kind of needed to go in strong for the last weekend show before the Royal Rumble, before WrestleMania season. So I think this checked all the boxes, even if the matches were a little bit predictable in how they panned out.
Yeah, again, the matches I think were solid. Every match I think on the card was really, really good, completely watchable. But again, I felt like coming into it that it was kind of predictable, and it turned out to be very predictable. Minus the Jacob Fatu and
Right.
Braun Strowman finish. I did not expect it was going to be a DQ. I thought it was going to be a clean finish, but it kind of got the same result, just a different outcome kind of deal.
Yep, I agree. Right. So I have the Rumble slide, but I want to talk a little bit about, the Monday Night Raw of this week. I just felt there was so many different things going on and different layers to all of this that I feel it's really important to kind of actually talk about it.
Yes.
I don't think we need to talk about everything, but at least the key points. So I kind of mentioned it, but the main event basically was Sammy and Drew McIntyre for like the 10th time.
Yes.
Poor Sammy. Poor Sammy can't catch a break, man. Just seems
I
like
got a job to this guy again. Can I get one against this guy? Come on.
What? It's not even about the job. It's about the fact that he goes to Seth Rollins, kind of apologizes. Seth kind of believes him. And then there's that whole, aspect of, he's very popular in the locker room still. He's very popular with the crowd still. But now they're starting to throw out this whole, okay, now he's messed up again because this week he kicked Cody Rhodes. In Cody's hometown, no less, which I thought was very funny.
Yes.
And, of course, this is after KO had attacked him. KO was like, hey, man, cool. And, as we kind of found out last week or the week before, I don't remember, my weeks are blending together, that KO is like, hey, if you get my back, I'll get yours. So then it stands to reason, of course, now Cody has to look over his shoulder even more because he's not sure what to think about Sammy at this point either. So that was also interesting, the segment that happened immediately after this to close the show with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. I want to ask your opinion. How did you feel about that segment?
Which one? The Cody and
CM Punk.
CM Punk.
Yep.
It kind of, going back to the his reign in the last, it made sense of how it got to like day 300, and because that was a really kind of long-term storytelling, because I go back to the first kind of 6 months, 7 or 8 months of that championship reign that he had, and then at some point you just saw the look on his face of just dejectedness, of just, especially too when you're having to work with like guys like Ryback and things like that. That kind of puts you in a funk. But he did look at certain points of just completely miserable, and he was on top of the world technically because he was the world champion.
Yep.
And Cody is having to play that now because it's like he's getting hammered from all sides. He doesn't know who to trust. So it was like, here's a guy from experience, and Cody also thinks that he has an ally. And he does kind of have an ally, but to a certain extent.
Correct.
Because Punk is coming out there and being like,
Hey,
look,
man, I'm your friend.
I'm your friend, but I want that.
Yeah. I won't stab you in the back. I'll stab you in the front.
Exactly. And at least you have, and also I think Punk would have his back in situations because Punk is thinking, I need you for WrestleMania. And honestly, the way that they set this up, it seems
It's hard not to want it now.
it's hard not to want it. The problem is the smart money is that it's going to be Cena and Cody Rhodes. However,
Yeah.
I don't know with recent events with John Cena not being able to do, he's been doing a movie, and yes, he'll be at the Rumble. And I don't know what the Rumble is going to hold for him. I think now that he's advertised for another show before WrestleMania, that he has a better chance of winning that than he does winning the Rumble. Because I don't know if they're going to give him the Royal Rumble and make it predictable. And plus, I don't know if you want to make him a 3-time winner, because then you got, that puts him in real rare. There's only one other guy that's won 3, and that's Steve Austin. So I don't know if you want to do that.
The only other person that should do it at this point is Cody Rhodes, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Or Roman winning it now wouldn't be much of an issue.
That's true too.
But we'll get to that when we actually start talking about the Rumble. But no, I really like the segment. It really kind of sets up another tease because now there's so much out there. There's so many fires out there that are set and kind of, simmering right now that you need to figure out. And you'll figure out soon enough who's going to be challenging. Where I am not 100% sure who's going to win the Royal Rumble on the men's side.
It's funny you say that. And I'm not going to show off, but it's such a funny statement that I was going to bring up anyways, because when we were on another show, which shall remain nameless.
Yes.
Who ran?
But, we would have our yearly Rumble, like our predictions, right? And I remember there were times where I would pick just kind of off the cuff, against the grain. And then last year, when we started doing the shoot, which turned into the Pro Wrestling World Talks for at least us, anyways, the progression, we pretty much predicted almost verbatim who was going to win last year.
Yes.
I think, however, this year, it's one of those years where we have zero idea.
At least on the men's side.
I wouldn't even argue the women's side, but we can talk about that in a second. All right, so again, I want to touch on a couple different segments on Raw. This was one of them. Prior to this, obviously, Drew McIntyre comes out and interrupts Paul Heyman. And I have to be honest, the banner for 2K25 that is in front of Drew McIntyre for this segment just made it that much funnier to me. It really did. I was like, oh my God. I was half expecting, Roman to come out, like, behind it at some point. Like, maybe they would lower it down or whatever. Roman moves it or something like that. I don't know. But they didn't go that route. And I'm not
disappointed that they didn't, but I thought the promo that Paul Heyman cut, the one behind the one, is just so great. Such a great promo.
Another one to add to the brilliant career that he's had.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, another year, another great promo. Great Paul. All right.
Yep.
Add one to the bank.
Yep, exactly. But there's another two guys in the Rumble right there. Drew McIntyre. Obviously, we talked about Sami Zayn is in the Rumble. CM Punk's in the Rumble. Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre. Excuse me, I couldn't remember which one I actually said. To start off the evening, though, this is. I know I'm going completely backwards here, but I'm remembering as I go. Obviously, I thought it was hilarious that it's Seth Rollins and Gunther and talking about the Rumble. Even though Gunther does not have a match booked for the Rumble, you could maybe make an argument he could be in it. I hope they don't go that route because they've done it in the past. I don't think it has always worked. But then who should come out but frickin' Logan Paul? And I don't know if you caught this, right? It's been making the rounds on social media. At one point, when Logan Paul's music goes off, Seth Rollins looks over at Gunther like, who's that? He hasn't turned around yet, but he's like, who's that? And I just, I want him to go away at this point.
No, it's they don't need him.
It's not the fact that they don't need him. I feel like the first few months he was invested, and I feel like now he's not.
It's well, the money that he's asking and is supposedly rumored that he is asking for is completely fucking stupid.
I'm not surprised.
No man is worth that in the company. Roman Reigns ain't even worth that type of money that you want. And I think he's reached a point where, yeah, he's just completely checked out.
I'm not gonna say he's checked out, but that's just the vibes that I get, right? Like I don't see him on television for months until he's in the crowd on Raw after this whole transfer window. And then he comes out and kind of makes comments like a week or two later about, or a few weeks later actually, about how he's going to be in the Royal Rumble and he's going to challenge Gunther at some point. It's like, yeah, okay, dude. Sure. Whatever you say.
Sure, Jan.
Yeah, sure.
Like, it's just
sure, Jan. You know what that rhymes with?
Ooh,
What?
man.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, Jan.
Yeah.
Like it's just that's the whole vibe I get from that.
Yeah.
All right. So I think what we can probably do now is start talking about the Royal Rumble matches, especially on the women's side, because as always, that is probably where we're going to start for the evening.
Yes, I firmly believe that it's going to lead off with the women's Royal Rumble match. Unless there's a major surprise for the women's match, but I don't foresee one happening. Other than the fact of a couple of, returns and maybe a few surprises here and there. I don't expect it to be anything like, plus I think the women's Royal Rumble, the winner is more defined than the men's is.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And I'll talk about that during when we pick our winner's spot. But no, I think it's going to be a good crop of talent. I just think that everybody's just going to kind of figure it out in the end. Like towards the end, people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, this is the way they're going to go. Yeah, this is the way they're going."
Well, we talked a little bit about it before, but I think that there are some high profile potentially returns that are going to come from the women's side. I think maybe more so than the men's side, right?
Yes.
So Dakota Kai, who is in concussion protocol, she may or may not be there. We don't know yet. It would be a good idea to bring back Kairi Sane at this point. She's been out for a few weeks with a hand injury after being attacked by PFC. Asuka's been on the shelf for a very long time at this point. So it'd be really great to see her return. And plus, if you follow her social media, please stay away from her.
Jesus, fucking psychopaths. This
Yeah.
goddamn, like, really? Like, come on, guys.
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah, so I get it, but come on. There's a time and a place, and it's not at the airport.
There is no form of life lower than a stalker, in my opinion.
Yeah, that too.
Like, it's just there. It's never going to happen. You got to realize this. And I've seen that firsthand. I saw it at the Alexa Bliss signing when I worked security, and the Kyrie Sane one. There was a dude that actually was trying to propose to Kyrie Sane at the fucking signing. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's crazy then.
Yeah.
But there are other ones too. So Becky is more than likely going to be in the Rumble. Charlotte's pretty much confirmed for the Rumble.
Charlotte's a lock, yeah.
Yeah, and I know where you're going with that one, so I'll let you say it in a few minutes. But Jade Cargill is another one. I think there's a very big chance that Jade finally makes her return. She's been at the Performance Center for a few weeks now, from what I've heard. She's been there for more than a month at this point.
Yes.
So it makes sense that she is building up to a return. She had a big showing last year when she picked up Nia Jax in the Rumble. I expect another, performance from her that I think will be showing out. And there are others too that you might see that you haven't seen in a while, but I think the biggest one for me, and I know you had mentioned when I talked to you that it's not likely, but I really think Jordan Grace should be in the Rumble.
No, I agree. I do think that Jordan, because a couple weeks ago I did say that, she doesn't even need NXT. You just bring her up to the main roster.
Yeah.
So her winning, her being in the Royal Rumble, I think would be a benefit. I think she's a big enough star too, where and it wouldn't be like an empty building when she came out. I think the people would go crazy for her. The question is if they're going to pull the trigger or not. Personally, I think that we're at a point with the Royal Rumble where we kind of need somebody that's out of nowhere to win the thing. And maybe Jordan going in there, winning. Considering the fact she was already talked about in the keynote speech by Nick Khan the other day, the same day that they announced the Triple H's induction, he had mentioned two talents. He had mentioned Penta, and he had mentioned Jordan Grace. So if they're talking about it at like a keynote speak for investors, but also people in the company, that means you're a big deal. And having her win it and then going to challenge Rhea Ripley for the title at WrestleMania, I don't know a person alive that would be mad about that. And
I sure as hell wouldn't be.
yeah, no, I'm not going to say you sold me on the idea, but you kind of did. Because it's more or less the idea of, I don't think she needs to go to NXT. I think that you can bring her up to the main roster and she'll be ready, because I think she's talented enough that she can just go right to the main event scene and challenge. Put her up against Rhea. Just do it right away. That's kind of where I'm at.
You know why I agree with you, aside from the obvious statements here of her versus Rhea, her versus Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, etc. You have an established talent in Naomi that has worked with her and can vouch for her.
Yes.
And that was very evident last year at the Royal Rumble, because they both hugged it out before they slugged it out. So
yes.
I think that in saying that, having the fact that you have established talent that have worked with her in the past and can continue to work with her in a program and elevate her without putting her in NXT first, I think is huge.
Yes.
I don't think NXT, for the caliber of talent that Jordan Grace is necessary. You could make the same argument for Julia, for Stephanie Becerra, and I understand that, but part of the problem is too, it's that you don't have many women on the roster, maybe 5 tops, that look anything close to Jordan Grace.
Yes.
You maybe make the argument for the people that I already said. Rhea, obviously Jordan herself, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and a very distant fifth. The only one that comes to my brain right now is Tiffany Stratton, and she's a very distant fifth compared to the other four.
You can think of some of the. Keep forgetting her name.
Ivy Nile.
Ivy Nile is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Ivy Niles won. Raquel Rodriguez kind of won. Not as defined, but
she's more of a
definitely-
giant than anything. She's more. I
yeah.
wouldn't say she's not a. And I'm not. What am I saying? Bodybuilder, or more of a toned kind of. A kind of a set physique.
Yeah.
You know, like she really doesn't have one. She's tall. She's got power, but I don't think she has the definition of the others.
I agree with you on that.
Can't believe I'm talking about bodybuilding fucking here. What the fuck's going on? Do you suspect any surprises as far as like maybe some old legends coming out? Because the two names immediately kind of come to mind, considering the fact that with recent events that have gone on, the two names, one, Victoria, because she just signed a Legends deal.
Yeah.
And then the second one is Mickie James, because of her recent, I think she's going to be a part of LFG, if I'm not mistaken. So she's kind of back in with the company. And then plus Nick, of course, is an on-screen talent as well now. So, and their working relationship with TNA, she has the past experience, so I don't know if we'll see me. I think Victoria, I'm going to give that like a 75% chance we'll see her tomorrow night. Mickie James, I'd probably maybe put in the category of 50 to 75% chance.
It's funny because I'm looking at, I Googled it, wrestlers from Indianapolis or Indiana. And none of these people, in my opinion, are going to be in the show. You could make the argument for those that are currently there that could potentially be there. But I'll give you an example, right? So I'm not going to name all these people. I'm not going to ruin it. So just bear that in mind. The only person here that is a woman, that is a wrestler, that I could potentially see being there is Sarah Logan, who plays Valhalla.
Right.
But my understanding is that she recently gave birth. So
yes,
I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening.
The only other woman here on this list, at least from what I can tell of this list, because I am looking kind of haphazardly, is somebody, I'm sorry, one is a legend. I will say that. The other one is in AEW. Do you know who the female legend is?
No.
You don't want to guess.
For Indiana?
Yep. Not Indianapolis, but from Indiana, yes.
Mickie James?
Nope.
Who?
Queen Charmel.
Oh, Christ.
I don't see her doing it, though.
No. She's been out of it for a while. It depends. But I doubt that would happen. I really doubt that's real.
There are actually two from Indiana that are in AEW. I apologize. But
isn't Statlander one of them?
It does not say.
Okay.
So it looks like there's an NXT person from there. I'm not going to say who because I don't think they're going to be in the Rumble anyways, and I don't remember the last time I actually saw them. So the two wrestlers that are appearing on this list, and again, take it with a grain of salt because you Google something, who the hell knows what you're going to get. One is Ruby Soho. The other one is Billy Starks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Ruby Soho does make sense. There are some other talents too that one we've interviewed on here at one point. Jensen, of course, she's an independent star, but there are some independent talents out of Indiana and wrestling personalities as well. I mean, it's kind of becoming a little bit of a hotbed out there. So it complete makes sense in the world why they're in Indianapolis this weekend, because wrestling is, at least on the independent scene, is thriving out there, and they got some good female and male talents out there as well. So
Plus the Colts aren't in the playoffs or anything, so yeah.
when are they ever?
Sorry.
When the fuck are they ever?
Oh, yeah.
Best female.
The last time
talent is
Peyton
right
Manning played
here.
for them, probably.
Yeah. Yes, honey, we know. You are the best female talent possible ever.
I don't know. Earlier
Absolutely
it
ever.
was Daria. I don't know.
Everything. The best.
Earlier it was Daria. I don't know, man. Daria made her appearance.
It was not Daria. Daria did make her
appearance.
appearance, I know.
I mean, listen, aside from, the speculation, is there going to be a legend in the match? Yeah, probably. Aside from Victoria, as you mentioned, aside from potentially Mickey James, the only other one that I could possibly throw out there, and I feel like it's still a long shot, it's actually somebody you mentioned previously, AJ Lee.
I feel like the only way that we're going to get AJ Lee back is if they do something that makes sense, like a program. Like they have to go, they're going to have to come with a, like a reel that kind of with a script on it and a program. Maybe something with Bailey. I think Bailey would probably be somebody that she'd probably want to work with. I don't know though. I don't know. That might take a little bit of convincing. And I don't know if a Royal Rumble appearance, I think, would be in her. That would be something she would want to come back for, unless she's winning the fucking thing, which I don't think she would.
No, I think that you can go right ahead and give your prediction on that at that point.
Yeah. I am 95% sure, as of recording, that Charlotte is going to win the Women's Royal Rumble. I am 95% sure. As of right now, it could change going into tomorrow. But I don't know. I don't know. I am almost 95% certain that Charlotte's going to win this thing, because there's really nobody at the top. I feel like, as far as the women's is concerned, Liv Morgan has already had a good year. She doesn't need it.
Same with Nia.
Bianca and Jade Cargill and Naomi, I feel like everything that's going on with them right now, they cancel each other out.
Yep.
And Bailey, I think, will have a great kind of performance, but I don't think she's going to go back to back. Nia Jax just got beat by Rhea Ripley. Nia Jax also just got beat by Tiffany Stratton. Cancel her out. So, kind of not leaving a lot on the bone as far as main event talent for women and people who are established.
Well, so
unless
hold
they're...
on. Before you go on, I want to disagree, but also make the point to say that if Becky comes back, they could do it, but the thing is they've already done it.
I don't know if they would. Because I don't know if Becky exactly needs... She doesn't need it. Because Becky is...
I don't think Charlotte does either, though.
You can argue she does, because she's coming off an injury, and also she hasn't been champion in about 2 years. Which for her seems like an eternity.
I don't want her to win.
I don't think anybody does, but my thing is that I don't see anybody.
Good though. She will.
That's the thing. That's the thing about this is the fact that she'll make Tiffany Stratton look like $1 million, just like she made Rhea Ripley look like $1 million, just like she's made Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, Mercedes Moné, Bailey.
Don't say that.
Every.
Don't bring her into this.
Why do you think, though? Honestly, why she should be sending she should be sending a piece of her check over to Charlotte because of the fact that if it wasn't for Charlotte and Bailey, she would not have been able to break the bank as much as she did in AEW. Let's just face the facts on
Well,
that.
she should also send it to Kenny at this point for being the female belt collector. But
It's true.
yep.
Boo ran.
I mean, the rumor is that Kenny has been booking the female talent anyway, so who knows?
Oh, no wonder she's the belt collector then, because he needs somebody to do it for him, I guess.
I think he's more. I think I'd be more interested in Mira than I would be like Mercedes, and I hope that Kenny follows along on that end.
I'd be more interested in literally anybody else in the locker room at this point than Mercedes Monet, but that's besides the point.
That's true.
Listen, as much as I would love to disagree with your prediction for the women's Royal Rumble match, it's very hard to. It's incredibly hard to. I look at the list of who is currently, proclaiming themselves for the Rumble and stuff, and I just it's one of those years where, without knowing who else is in the Rumble match, especially a few days out from it, it's really hard to kind of sit there and be like, okay, yeah, I could see this person winning. We looked at last year, for example, and I think we all knew going in that it's probably going to be Bailey, it's probably going to be Cody Rhodes.
Yep,
That's exactly what it was. This year is different. You could make an argument for like 5 of the guys, top 3 probably, but maybe a decent 5. That's stacked.
Yep.
So far for the Women's Rumble, there are 10 proclaimed already. Nia Jax, Bailey, Charlotte Flair, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Lyra Valkyria, Ivy Nile, and Io Sky.
Io's the only one other than Charlotte I could see winning this thing.
That would be a good match too, honestly.
And it would. I'm 95% sure though it's going to be Charlotte, and my other 5% is Io Sky. Io, I think, would be. I wouldn't like Io winning the thing. I'm also. I wouldn't. I would be more excited with Io winning than definitely with Charlotte. Charlotte. It's not like, because the thing, I don't pick winners because I like them. I pick winners because this is how I feel. And
it's just good business.
Well, exactly. It's good business.
Boo ran.
And it's just but also too, it's like, oh, I want this person to win. Like picking your favorite wrestler to win the Royal Rumble every year is, yeah, okay, you can do that in like DraftKings. Or you can do that like as a 12-year-old. Like, of course I wanted The Undertaker to win the fucking Royal Rumble every single year when I was a kid. But
not Bret
if
Hart.
I looked at
Bret Hart? Not
Bret Hart. Bret Hart. Like, you always wanted your favorite wrestler to win. But then when you grow as an adult and you get more educated in the industry, you have to see where the trends are going. And right now, the trends are telling me, and the headwinds are telling me, it's probably going to be Charlotte Flair. And there's a small 5% chance that it could be Io Sky. But I feel like Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton is just written in the stars for Mania this year.
So before I move on, let me ask you a question then, because you bring up an excellent point with Charlotte. Does she come back as the face again, or does she come back as a heel again?
Heel.
You think so? Because when she left, she was a face again.
I'd make her a heel.
I would too, because I think she's much more engaging as a heel.
Plus, it's like Tiffany. No one is booing Tiffany.
Nope.
And the fact is that Charlotte winning is going to get somewhat of a negative reaction because she has a negative stigmatism about her from a portion of the audience because they think that she's like a Nepo baby and she just gets whatever she wants because of the fact that she's Ric
Oh
Flair's
man,
kid,
that's bait. I'm not jumping on that one.
which is complete bullshit because of the fact that she has carried herself and has been one of the most solid performers in the company for the last decade and has raised the bar for women's wrestling probably higher than anybody as far as performance is concerned. So it's not a Nepo baby situation. The fact is that she's earned her right and she's earned her merit. Do they overpush her sometimes? Absolutely. Does she, however, help create new talent and help people get stronger? Absolutely. She does her job well. Her winning the Royal Rumble, in my opinion, is not a death sentence. To some fans, it probably is. And I'm not 100% sure. I am 95% sure. And I still say that there's a 5% chance it's probably Io Sky. But these are the 1 and 2. I really don't see anybody else unless, again, they decide, fuck it, it's going to be Jordan Grace. And
Well, listen, I'll jump in here for a second. We only know 10 of the 30 women that are going to be in the Royal Rumble right now.
correct.
We don't know the other 20.
No,
And you, as I said, we could assume that one is going to be Becky Lynch. We don't know that, though. We can assume that Jordan Grace is going to be one of them. We definitely don't know that. You could assume that Jade Cargill is going to make her return.
don't know.
Does that mean that she's going to win? Who the hell knows? We have no idea. Currently, though, they keep playing the big niche for Charlotte. If you're going to talk about two female athletes that have a very similar look for a variety of reasons that I will not say out loud because I promised myself I wouldn't after last night, they look very similar in terms of their athleticism and their body types and how they move. It's going to be a good match. Listen,
Yes.
I made the phrase, and I'll say it again because I don't think I said it on the air, but if I did, oh well. If Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania, Charlotte Flair is Miss WrestleMania.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And she's absolutely earned that moniker. And as she's going to go down on the Mount Rushmore for women's wrestling. If you don't have her on there, you're a complete idiot that can't see the impact that she's had on the industry. It has nothing to do with Rick. It has everything to do with Ashley Flair. Not Ric Flair, Ashley.
Yep.
She has raised the bar higher than anybody that came before her. And I understand the frustration. They keep giving her the title too much. She's earned the fucking right. If she wins tomorrow, she's earned the fucking right.
What about John Cena? What about Randy Orton? What about Triple H? What about Rick
I
himself?
never had a...
Like, they didn't give those guys the title too much? Like, what's the difference? Because she's one?
I think...
Like,
I
hate it.
I
I'm
think
not
the...
asking you. I'm being rhetorical. I'm just saying.
Right.
I just disagree with the people that say that because they've already done that with a bunch of other champions on the men's side.
Yes.
Who cares? Who cares?
There was a time the reason why that Randy Orton, John Cena, and Charlotte have so many championship, and Edge, I can throw him in there too.
Yep.
The reason why those guys was as champions as long as, and many times there was a lot of guys that just kept accumulating championships. And that showed I would say between 2003, 2022, about a 20-year period where WWE consistently hot-shotted world championships.
Oh, yeah.
Consistently.
Yep.
And a lot of that was part of the fact that Vince lost patience in guys quickly and women and just moved the titles to people that he knew he could count on.
Yep.
And I think that has been, it has done a number on the record books, like, which is why I don't even include like Like if John Cena wins the 17 championships, to me it's like an asterisk
I
because
was
it's
just
like
gonna say that too.
he
It's a fucking
did it.
asterisk.
He did it in a period of time of just like, okay, and you beat the same. How many times did he beat Randy Orton for the championship?
God, I don't
Like,
know.
how many times did he beat?
JBL.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like Hogan's championships at 12 have meaning. I feel like Flair's championships at 16 have meaning because a lot of those championship reigns came with 2-3 year reigns. Some of them had, Hogan had a 4-year reign. Flair at one point, I think the longest reign he had was over 2 years. Where Cena, I think the longest he had was just over a year, but he had a lot of these like 2 or 3 month fucking reigns that would just get from one pay-per-view arc to another.
See, that's the thing for me too. It's like I don't count by the amount. I count by how long you had the title when you had it. Right? Like I look at Punk, I look at Cody, I look at Roman Reigns, of course, I look at Hogan. There are guys that have had it for 6 months plus, and I would rather look at that than a guy like, and I hate to say it, but Christian, who had it for like maybe a month or so, and then it was taken right off him again. Guys like Cena, like you just mentioned, had it for a month or two, take it right off of him. I get it,
Cumulative
cool.
days should be looked at when you're looking at a world champion.
I agree.
I believe
don't think
cumulative
it's-
days.
Yeah.
Not the reigns, cumulative days. I think that should be the new standard bearer as far as that goes. So yeah, Cena winning the championship for the 17th, it's like, all right, he's got the most, but where's his cumulative days? Probably doesn't even touch Hogan.
Oh, I don't.
Probably doesn't even touch Roman.
Yeah, I don't think it does. Roman's
like
number 3, number 4, so I mean, it shouldn't touch him anyways.
If you're putting I know it's over 1,000. He's been world champion, like 1,000 days, but yeah, and I know that people are like, well, you're demeaning Randy Orton. You love Randy Orton. It's like, well, yeah, because half the title reigns were kind of a joke. It's a cumulative, people. It's like he won the title this month and then he loses it. It's like, it's hot shotting. That is fucking hot shotting. That is a definition of hot shotting. The only time I think that, and anyway, this wasn't even hot shotting, is when Edge cashed in on Cena at New Year's Revolution in 2006 as the first Money in the Bank cash in. That I consider, and I'm like, well, he was champion for over 6 months. He won the title, so that it was like a 9-month reign, something like that, if I did the math right. And then all of a sudden, it's like he wins the title back in 3 weeks. Okay, that is sufficient in my opinion. And then he held the belt, I think, going into June. So there were a couple of title reigns for him at the beginning that were decent over 6 months, or in the 6-month territory. But there were a lot of them with like Edge. There were a lot of them with Orton and a lot of them with Cena where it was just like they were hot shotting. One guy had it 1 month, the next one won it back the next month. That to me is when it's just like, okay.
So I think I might have found it. It's wrong. I can tell you that right now because Roman's number is way lower than it should be. However, John Cena is listed at number 4, 13 reigns, so we know this is outdated, obviously.
Yep.
But at the time for 13, it was 1,254 days, it looks like.
So he averaged 100 days, almost 100 days for each championship reign.
Give or take, yeah.
So that's every 3 months.
I'll see if I can find it, because it's, like I said, it's wrong. Like, I can tell you that right now, because it's saying that Roman is only like 800 plus. And that's definitely way wrong. We know that.
Well, also you have to count in the factor that it could have changed as far as like the branding. So he might be, because when he was,
I don't know.
He was
I'm
Universal
looking at
Champion for
combined.
1,300 days.
Yeah, but I'm looking at combined, so it shouldn't matter. And even in the notes, it has something about the Universal Championship.
Okay.
So it says 735, which, yeah, it's definitely wrong. So I don't know. But either way, Cena's over 1,000. We can at least say that. We know that verbatim. I don't think he touches Roman, though.
No.
Even if
I
this
am.
stops at 13, because like you said, maybe it's only counting specific championships and not a universal or world heavyweight or whatever else. And okay, fine, but okay, those three championships are going to be, how many days? Probably give him 200. All right, and then let's say you add Roman's 1400 to whatever the 853 is, then he's very close to Bob Backlund.
If you are champion if you win the title 16 times and you are champion 1600 days in a 16th year, that to me is not a great. That's not great numbers.
No,
16 championship reigns in 1600 days. That's like you're averaging 100 days as champion,
right?
16 times.
That's exactly why I'm making the argument that I don't pay attention to the number of reigns, because
No.
it's just dog shit.
It's a hollow record.
That's a bad
Like it's a hollow record. It's a record that like, oh, okay, he can prop himself up. Oh, he's the greatest of all time because he was champion. If I was Roman Reigns or anybody else, I would come out and be like, congratulations on winning a championship that you averaged 100 days winning each of your fucking championship reigns.
If I was Roman
Meanwhile,
Reigns, I would just be like, so when are you giving that up again? Like 30 days from now, 20 days from now?
exactly. It's just a bullshit record.
It is.
Like it's just the amount of times that you win the championship. It's like, okay, the only times that should matter is if you're a franchise of sports, but because the cumulative days are the ones that should matter.
But if you're a sports franchise, like just Patriots have gone to 11 Super Bowls. It's more than anybody else, but they've lost 5. Right? They still have a winning record in the Super Bowl, obviously 6-5. But at the end of the day, like how many of those are in the past era? How many of those are the current era or the era after that even? And those matter. Like that's a legit championship. It doesn't matter if you defend it or not, because that's incredibly difficult to do in sports these days. But for a WWE title where you were defending it, arguably, we'll say at most 3 times a month, depending on the era, even then, too, if you think about it. That's not great. That's not great. So,
No.
I don't know. But, moving on, speaking of records, who is going to go and get 2 wins in the tag match between DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns?
Talk about a matchup that maybe should have been on Saturday night's main event and not the Royal Rumble.
I cannot agree more.
Like, this is a match I'm like, this made the main show? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sadly, it did. I'm pretty sure I said that when I first saw the match on the card. I was like, really? Really? This could be a SmackDown? Okay. This could be a Raw? Okay. What? Why does this...
I mean, I don't hate it, but I think it's going to be a great match. I think it's okay.
It's misplaced.
Yes, I agree.
I know it tells a story, and I'm all for that, but and I know your opinion was that give Motor City Machine Guns the moment, but give them a Mania moment instead. Like you don't need them.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're going to defend the titles at Mania or they win the titles again at Mania, I don't know. I think their whole story of being in the company is a great story. I'm not gonna hate on that. I think both tag teams are excellent. I think the match itself is going to be really solid.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kind of like, this is on the main show, okay?
This it sucks because there's only 4 matches, right? And
yes,
we've talked about this ever since you went to the Royal Rumble last year in Florida. This is the P-break match.
Unfortunately, yeah, it is, because the other 3 matches have massive stakes.
Absolutely.
And this, but I'm sure, well, it's a tag team, it's a tag team championship, it has stakes. Yeah, it's not the same stakes.
Yeah, but dude, you could go to the bathroom for this match and still come back, and it maybe be either tied or 1 fall, or it might not be anything yet. we're not going to know, obviously, till we get to that point and have to go to the bathroom.
Right.
But it's the truth. It's like, this is that match. Because, again, like you mentioned, every other match.
Or for us tomorrow, this will be our smoke break match.
I think it's going to be like a do-all. But yeah, like go smoke, go pee, get a drink.
Smoke.
Whatever.
Smoke.
Yep. I just... It really is that match, and I feel bad about that, but it's like when you have 2 Royal Rumble matches and a ladder match for the undisputed WWE Championship, which we'll get to in a minute, it's hard to really get excited about this match. Yeah, tag team championship match, I get it. 2 out of 3 falls, I get it.
2 excellent teams.
And yeah, absolutely, 2 excellent teams. I know people are not always sold on Gargano and Ciampa, but they're not bad. They're not bad. But yeah, I don't know. What do we... This is such a hard match because I want the Motor City Machine Guns to win. I feel like they will.
Yes.
But and I also feel this should go the full 3 falls.
Yes.
Right? But I don't know. What do you think?
I'm rooting for the Motor City Machine Guns.
Okay. Ironically enough, I am on social media right now, and they're talking about SmackDown. So SmackDown matches before the Rumble are Mello and Jimmy Uso, an 8-man tag match. Okay, so those 2 teams of DIY and Motor City Machine Guns are 2 of the teams with Pretty Deadly and whatever El Gato del Fantasma. I can't pronounce that. Sorry. Also, we have Naomi and Liv Morgan, as well as, I don't know if it's for the title or not, Chelsea Green and Michan. So apparently these 2 teams are going to fight on SmackDown anyway, which I don't understand.
Kind of defeats the purpose. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. If you're going to do that, just do it at the Rumble. But
yeah, I'm rooting for Motor City Machine Guns on that one.
Yeah, I have to agree. I just, as much as I like DIY, I like them much better when they were face. I don't like the heel turn. I don't think it was necessary.
I thought it was clever.
It was clever. I just, you have enough heel teams. I don't think you really needed to add another one.
I get it.
But, c'est la vie, I guess. But yeah, that'll bring us to our supposed, not main event, but the next match at least.
Our championship main event.
Yeah, championship main event. The only championship match of the evening, actually. The ladder match for the undisputed WWE Championship. Champion.
It's
Cody
a second,
Rhodes.
because we were just talking about the tag team titles.
What do you mean?
You just said that it's the only championship match.
But I mean the only singles. Only singles.
Okay,
Sorry.
fair.
Yeah. Sorry. Jeez. Sorry, I don't count the tag team championships.
Someone's gonna get pissed off at you online.
Sorry, tag teams. I don't care about you, I guess.
No,
dare you. But yes, the only singles championship of the evening. Champion Cody Rhodes against Kevin Owens in a ladder match.
I mean it's gonna be good. We talked about I think pile drivers is going to be an over-under. I think there's going to be
So the drinking game is the pile drivers or power bombs. Could be a little bit of both.
Yes.
Super kicks.
Cutters. Including stunners. Stunners is included in
stunner
cutters.
Is a cutter. Yeah, come on.
Yes.
Sorry, not sorry. It is. There has to be a cutter off of the ladder.
Yes.
You have to finish your beer. Sorry. Or drink. Period. Beverage. Whatever. Whatever you're drinking, whatever your poison is. What else? There are other ones too. Forget. Run-ins, I think, will be an order of the evening as well. Not really sure who. Feel like Sammy might come out. I feel like Randy might make a return and come out. CM Punk maybe has the potential to come out after last time on Raw, like we talked about before.
Well, too, I think we'll see CM Punk and Kevin Owens at some point in a match. So that's and Sami Zayn and CM Punk in a match. So there's a lot of connecting fibers being connected threads being pulled as far as who's going to be facing who at some point. So yeah, there could be a lot of run-ins and cameos come this matchup between Kevin and Cody. Cody is,
I mean, dude, you can even see Roman come out.
yes, there's a lot of people that could be coming into this thing that kind of jump on. I mean, Enrico Palazzo, for all that we know at this point, could be coming out.
Oh, by the way, I don't know why that just reminded me of this, but I wanted to kind of correct myself. Not really correct myself, but maybe apologize. I want to apologize to Santino Marella for calling Charlotte Flair Miss WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very
forgot.
sorry about that.
Not Santino, Santina.
Or whatever.
It's how do I go from here? Fuck.
Well, that was part of the reason I did it too.
The Cody thing is weird now because it's like you sense that Cody's starting to have that turn.
Yep.
You sense it.
Yep.
But also at the same time, it's like he's still like this beloved, like, because I'm watching the press conference, the kickoff special right now on YouTube as this is going on. And Cody's like almost like crowd surfing with Michael Cole right now in the audience. It actually, yeah, they are. Cody Rhodes and Michael Cole are crowd surfing right now. Indianapolis with Pat McAfee on the call. This is what we have. We're in weird times, man. Cody is still.
The one thing we didn't talk about with Raw, by the way, you just brought it up, so I have to say this. The one thing we didn't talk about with Raw is Pat McAfee just completely burying Michael Cole. This is where you are. You stay here. Or making fun of him for that WrestleMania appearance also and circling his dad bod and shit. That was pretty funny.
That's funny. The Cody thing is like, I don't want it to happen too soon. But I also feel like if they are going to do the John Cena and Cody thing, that they're going to probably try to make Cody as heel as possible. Even though after Monday, I am thinking that they might go with the direction of Cody and CM Punk. I don't know. But again, that'll play into my Rumble prediction. This match, again, my philosophy with ladder matches are no one's really losing because someone is climbing the ladder. No one's getting pinned. No one's submitting. Someone is climbing the ladder and taking the belts. It's the same thing with a cage match. That's why cage matches were done, because you're really not losing. You're just someone's walking out of the cage and getting their hand raised. Like with Larry Zbyszko and Bruno Sammartino, Bruno never really beat Larry. He just walked out of the cage. That was it. Never really beat Larry after the turn. Same thing goes with Hulk Hogan and Paul Orndorff. Their big matchup at big event, that was the one in Toronto, ended in a disqualification. Their big blow-off was the cage match on Saturday night's main event. Hogan won, obviously. He won the match because he climbed out of the cage, but never really beat Orndorff.
Right.
Little things that people need to realize sometimes of like, you lose a ladder match, you're not really losing. You're climbing a ladder and getting a belt. Cage match, you're not really losing. Someone's just walking out of the cage. So Cody is going to be involved in the WrestleMania main event, the big one. Don't know against who. So I'm going to go with that Cody is going to retain the title.
Let me throw a
even though
at you for a second, just because I want to see what you think about this, right? I don't think The Rock is going to be there. Let me preface with that. But
Probably not.
I want to throw this curveball at you anyways, because I want to gauge what you think about this. The Rock is now carrying around that people's belt, so to speak, the one that was given to him last year by the widow of Muhammad Ali. Do you think that The Rock would come out interfere in this match. KO wins, but you could still potentially do something with Cody and The Rock without the World Championship on the line, but maybe the People's Championship on the line.
I think if The Rock is going to get involved,
It's going to be in the Rumble.
it's going to be in the Rumble.
Yeah.
It's not going to be in this match.
Okay.
I think there's too many other. I think Sami Zayn for sure, because Sami Zayn with the haluva kick.
They keep teasing it at this point.
Yeah, they're going to tease it. And the thing about it is that right now it's like no one's really a heel. Like Cody's not a heel.
I think
Cody's a
KO is
babyface.
heel,
KO's in the gray area. KO's in the gray area, I think
everybody else is more in the gray than he is. I think he's full.
KO is a heel, but at the same time, he is a justified heel.
I'll give you that. Sure.
And that's always sometimes I make the argument where it's like with Steve Austin or Bret Hart at some point, it's like justified heel.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I look at KO. And when Cody finally turns, he'll be considered a justified heel. And because there's going to come a day where they're just going to, the Homelander arc is coming for him, and it's going to come, and it's going to be great. Yeah, because I love my babyface Cody. I love him. I think he's great. I think he's a great representative for the company, but can't wait for that fucking heel turn because I know it's going to be fantastic.
That whole
and he knew,
turn, man, it's gonna go
and he knew. He's like, all right, fine. If I'm going to be a heel, I'm going to go get paid the absolute most to be a heel instead of being an AEW as a heel. So I never turned because he knew the money would be a heel turn in WWE after being a beloved babyface. And he's right. So that's where this is going. I feel like that Cody, you're not going to take the belt off him yet. So I think it's an easy decision of Cody retaining.
Yeah, listen, I agree. I know I throw out the what ifism of The Rock maybe, but I don't see that happening. Obviously, I think this match easily is like 80-20 in favor of Cody. There's that 20% chance, and I know there could be people, but you're saying Cody's going to win. Yeah, I am, but at the same token, there's always that what if, and there's always that factor of what you said, and I 100% agree with you about Sami Zayn. There's that factor of maybe somebody else comes out and maybe doesn't get involved, but at least distracts Cody. There's that factor of we're going to see at some point within the next, I would say, 2 years, Cody and Randy Orton. We're going to see it. We're going to see Cody and Roman one more time at some point.
They need that rubber match, yeah.
Yep, they need that rubber match.
Not 3 years in a row. I don't want that.
No, I don't want that either, and I agree with you. But there are other factors there that can play out. But again, those are two matches that at the very least we're gonna get before these guys are done. Whether that be Randy next year or the year after, or Roman next year, or the year after, I don't know. I don't think either of them face him this year though. And I kind of mentioned it earlier when we talked about Raw. It's really hard not to root for CM Punk in the Royal Rumble right now. Really, really hard. So, I think we both feel that Cody's going to win this match. Let's talk about that match. 30-man Royal Rumble. It's probably going to be the final match of the evening, is my guess. Because it has been the last couple of years.
I feel like a month and a half ago, I was on this program and I told everybody, I said, I think John Cena is going to win this thing. I honestly believe that the chances of that are very low now. He hasn't been on TV in weeks, so there's really no kind of buzz, I think, really right now about him winning it. And I just don't think John Cena could challenge for the championship really at any point and just be like, well, it's because I have the credentials. And him winning Elimination Chamber is fine too. Having him win the Rumble, I just think is detrimental just because the fact that, he's going to be full-time this year, even though he hasn't been on TV at all really this month. because he's been filming a
Wasn't
movie,
the
I
last time he
guess.
was on TV in 2024 for the Saturday Night Main Events? Wasn't that it? Or
I think he was on the
Netflix?
Netflix. He
Yep.
was on the Netflix episode. And that was the last time we've seen him.
Yep.
And then, so I don't know if you're going to have him win the Rumble if he's not going to be, if he's still going to be doing movies and he's going to be committing full time. It's detrimental. It's detrimental. And I think that him winning Elimination Chamber makes more sense because of that situation. Now, is he going to be involved in the finish? He'll probably be in the final four. That would be really something if it is him and Punk at the end, because the last two is him and Cena. Is Punk and Cena, because again, all that history there. And
I disagree. I think it has to be Punk and Roman. Because we still don't know what the favor is. That's the whole thing.
yeah, that's the weird thing. You wonder if that favor is going to come into play tomorrow.
Yep.
You wonder if that favor is going to come into play if Punk can't get it done. Which I don't think. If you're teasing Cody and Punk and you get as much social media reaction and social media play out of it, and you get the buzz talking about it, I feel like that's a direction you need to go.
I agree.
And but don't get me wrong, I have several scenarios in my own head of how this thing's going to go tomorrow. Again, if you asked me at the beginning of the month what my feelings would be on who's going to win, the only thing I know guaranteed for sure is I thoroughly expect Braun Breaker to have a magnificent performance.
Yeah, I would love to see him hit double-digit eliminations.
That's what I'm hoping for him. I want him to have a Diesel type-esque 1994 Royal Rumble performance, a Brock Lesnar performance in 2020.
Well,
That's what my thought process is kind of leaning towards.
Yeah. Speaking of Braun Breaker, I listed the women, so I might as well do the same for the men here. So there are 15 out of 30 entrants that have been announced as of at least today or early today. So I'm just going to go in order that they appear here. I'm actually going to go in reverse, actually, now that I look at the list. So the first one is Carmelo Hayes, Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is the last one. Chad Gable, Penta, Logan Paul, or Jan as we called him earlier. Shinsuke Nakamura, Sami Zayn, Rey Mysterio, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, CM Punk, John Cena, and LA Knight.
Yeah. LA Knight's not out of the question because him challenging Gunther would make sense.
The only problem with LA Knight, and I hate saying this too, and I would make the same argument for Carmelo Hayes as well. They're not really doing a lot right now. I don't think that's on them though.
No, I think it's
you're booking your top tier talent and top tier stories, which, like, obviously, you can also make the same argument that ever since he got the U.S. title, Shinsuke Nakamura's not really doing a lot either.
I think it's just everything right now is just there's just so much top heaviness.
Yep.
And it's just that's the problem. And I think that there's some people that are probably frustrated and things of that nature, and I get it. But this is the time of year where the cream rises to the top. I think LA Knight has proven that they have. He's still a top star for them. Like, it's just they still. I'm sure he's getting his merch checks, and he's not really.
You know what I'll say
upset.
for LA Knight? And I said this last year as well, going into this year. I think
He's bulletproof.
I'm not gonna say he's bulletproof, but the best place for him in terms of where he should be is where Drew McIntyre was last year winning Money in the Bank.
Yes.
You could make the same argument for Gunther winning King of the Ring, right? That's where you need to elevate LA Knight. You need to put him in those kind of positions where he wins some kind of a tournament, whether it be Money in the Bank, whether it be
Or the
King
Rumble.
of the Ring, or the Rumble. The only argument for the Rumble though this year is, as you mentioned, it's very, very top heavy.
But sometimes you need to go against the obvious. And I think that I think this year would be a great year to kind of say, all right, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to
Hold on. So I'm not going to disagree with you, but here's the problem. It's John Cena's last Rumble. Roman's getting up there, and he's going to continue to be a part-time wrestler.
yes.
Seth and Drew still have enough in the tank that you could make them wait another year. Sammy is kind of on that cusp, right? With LA Knight, that hey, maybe you start looking at him as the main eventer.
Right.
I think everybody else in this list outside of that, and Jey Uso, you can make an argument for too. Excuse me. Ray doesn't need it. Shinsuke's already been a Rumble winner. I don't think he needs this really. He needs to be on television more, if anything. Logan Paul is not going to fucking win. Penta is too new. Chad Gable, you could make an argument for, but again, I feel like he's still a little bit on the outside looking in. Braun Breaker is probably another year or two away. He's going to have a great Rumble, but he's not going to win. And Carmelo Hayes really hasn't done much aside from a couple of feuds here and there with LA Knight, with Andrade, and maybe another guy, and that's it. We don't know the other 15 guys, but my argument here is, again, it's John Cena's last Rumble. I don't want him to win, but it's not outside of the realm of possibility considering it's his last Rumble. CM Punk is not going to be around much longer. He's already 46, 47. If AJ Styles shows up, he is a year older than CM Punk, so he's not going to be around a while. Plus, he's already fought for the undisputed title this year. We don't know the other 15, 14, however many guys. I just think it's incredibly tough for this to be LA Knight's year. Is it impossible? No, absolutely not.
I'm not making an argument for him winning. I'm just,
not.
what my argument is that sometimes with this event, and I feel like they have not done that in a very long time, where you kind of need to come in and try to make a new talent to kind of shake everything up. And I feel like that you can do that this year with the men's and especially the women's Royal Rumble if you wanted to do that with select talent. Because everybody's looking at Roman, everybody's looking at Cena, everybody's looking at CM Punk and just say, hey, LA Knight's going to challenge Gunther. Oh, okay, fuck it.
Who thought 2025 would be talking about CM Punk possibly winning the Royal Rumble?
The fact is that if I had to, and the thing about it is, I don't know who's going to win tomorrow. I don't have a lock. I have zero locks for this at all. And usually I have a good sense. Like last year, I was like, could be Punk, but I'm 95% sure it's going to be Cody.
Yep. Cody
won. And this year, the fact is that you now have, all these guys battling for the top and all these factors coming in. Cena winning makes no sense. None.
It would make more sense if he was on television.
It would make more sense if he was on TV. And also, it just makes no, he doesn't need it. Doesn't need it. You can give him the Elimination Chamber and who gives a shit? He's going to get to Mania anyways. The fact is that Roman also doesn't need it. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of he's the hot hand. You might want to do Cody or Roman again, even I wouldn't.
I'd wait a year.
Yeah, at least. Cody, and CM Punk, I feel like, is a direction they're going to go. After seeing that promo again in the last day or two,
It's hard not to want it after that.
I'm going to go 33% CM Punk,
Oh, there's that standard math again.
33% Roman Reigns, 25% 25% somebody else, and 8% John Cena. That's
Wow. That is standard math for sure.
yes.
I would have to agree with the 33% for CM Punk. I'd have to then go 33% for Roman Reigns. I'd rather cut it at even 30 for both, just for math reasons, obviously. Not standard math reasons, but math. So 30, 30. I would give Cena 10 at that point. So that's
Yeah.
70, and then I don't know, 15 and 15. I'd have to spread it out with like other guys. Like I have no idea. It's really one of those years where I cannot pick a definitive winner.
Can't do it.
Last
It's
year, you said
so
it best
hard.
already, man. You said it best already. Where it's like last year, you are like 80% Cody Rhodes, 20% CM Punk because of that whole like okay, and they had this face-off promo like they did last year before the Royal Rumble because they were both participants.
Yes.
This year, you're adding another layer to that whole promo from last year because now Cody is the champion and CM Punk is chasing him. Where last year, they're all kind of chasing CM Punk, even though he's not the champion. Jey Uso, I mentioned it before. He comes out, I can beat him about Gunther. Does he maybe win? Jey Uso is massively over right now. You could make the argument that he is just as much over as CM Punk and as Roman Reigns. I don't think Drew should win it. I don't. He won Money in the Bank last year. He beat Seth Rollins, and then, or I'm sorry,
Been there,
Money in
done
the Bank
that.
this year, I should say. Excuse me. And then he got beat, by the Mr. Money in the Bank of that year, which was can't believe I blanked on the name for a second, Damian Priest. But I just, again, like you said, we've done it already. Should he be in the main event? Yeah, don't get me wrong. Drew McIntyre's disgustingly talented, but you just did this. You could maybe make an argument that Roman doesn't win and it has to do with Drew McIntyre. He hates Punk, but he also hates Roman a lot more.
Punk's career, the sands of the hourglass are running out for him.
That's exactly why I feel like he should win.
Yeah.
It's him or Cena, and I don't think Cena should win at this point. If he's been on television like we just said, sure. Absolutely. But he hasn't.
You want to know also why I would do CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble?
I'm scared to ask, but go ahead.
Because then you have Cody Rhodes and CM Punk main eventing WrestleMania and Tony Khan crying his eyes out.
Well, I think if we want to make Tony cry, then we need to have Lexus King in the Royal Rumble. Have All Ego Ethan Page.
All Ego against Page.
We got to have Ricky Starks.
Oh, God.
We got to have a couple. We got to have Britt Baker in the women's match. I mean, come on.
I'll pop huge if you see Ricky Starks tomorrow come out. And I'll be like, oh, fuck yeah.
You're not going to pop. You're just going to laugh your ass off.
Oh, of course.
You're
I'm just going to laugh my ass off. Because it's such bullshit with him.
The only other thing I see in this Rumble match is a hot tag to R-Truth. That's it. You want to see another hot tag? I don't care if it's from Dominic.
Yes,
or anybody
we
else.
will get that.
Yep.
We will get that.
But yeah, I don't know. This is the first year in a number of years that I really cannot sit down and look at this, whether it's the 15 that we know about or the 15 that we don't, and sit there and say, that guy's going to win. I can't do it. I think it's.
I can't wait. When I hear the trumpets, though, it's going to be like that old goddamn thing in the back of my head of when I hear the trumpets playing. It's just all the PTSD moments of all the times that I had everything kind of figured out and he'd come in and fuck with my plans. That is John Cena's career for me. The guy who just fucked my plans up my whole life as a wrestling fan sometimes. The last 20 years, that's all he's done is fuck my plans up. I feel like tomorrow there's a slight chance he is just going to fuck with our plans. I hope that doesn't happen. But again, there's an 8% chance tomorrow that John Cena is going to fuck with our plans. So
I hope somebody that hears voices in his head comes back and puts a stop to that pretty quick.
hopefully,
I hope.
or he goes to sleep. That would be nice too.
Oh, that'd be great.
Or gets speared by Roman. Either
by Brock
or,
Breaker, even, either way.
or Broad Breaker. You know what? That is a good one. That actually, I think, would be better. Braun Breaker versus John Cena at WrestleMania and have Braun Breaker go over.
We have over 2 months to talk about John Cena's plans. I'll just caveat that right now because.
But John Cena getting destroyed by Braun Breaker, I'm all for it. Yeah.
I'm all for John Cena getting destroyed by anybody. Are you kidding me?
That's true.
Jeez, man. Like,
Well, folks, I'm sure there's a good part of you that grew up with him and are just like, it's going to be a great nostalgia trip and you're going to root for your hero again. But you have to understand something.
Top rope.
My friend here was chased away by John Cena and as a wrestling fan. And now that he's back, I don't want to lose him again for the next year because
I won't.
I got to deal with this shit.
Listen, if Cena wins the Royal Rumble or if he wins the Elimination Chamber, I know it's only a year. I'll suck it up.
Yes.
I'll just suck it up.
We could deal with this. It's just one last year of this, one last year, and then we'll have to hear it again for his Hall of Fame induction when we can skip watching that and not care. So
I won't. Don't worry.
literally, and the Hall of Fame induction for John Cena. Click.
I looked back at the last two Hall of Fame inductions, right, and especially last year with Paul, because I thought that was a great speech he gave. Not just about the swearing, obviously, but about being a Triple H guy, telling the stories that he told, etc. Seeing CM Punk sitting with his family, I thought was a huge nod as well. Obviously, player or otherwise, I don't care. I look at those moments, and then I look at a potential John Cena induction, and I just see me watching everything up to that point and then turning it off.
Yep.
Because I don't care.
I don't want to know.
A huge standing ovation, and I just don't care.
I just don't care. Like,
induct the Doctor of Thugonomics, nothing else.
Fine. Like, it's just, I get it. We're going to put him in. He's been, he's done all these Make-A-Wishes and all that type of stuff. I don't care. To me, he just represents an era of the industry that no one cared about the industry. He was on top when no one cared.
Here's my thing about him. You're 100% right, first of all. Right? Like, people stop caring. One of those superstars that you and I had, I don't want to say grown up with, but enjoyed throughout our early to late teens, to then watch the passing of the guard go to him, I was like, oh.
It was such a drop off. It was like you go from
ruthless aggression. Bleh.
You go from like a top choice steakhouse to like the sirloin steak you got from like McCormick's.
I was going to say Denny's, but okay.
Yeah, like it's just that you go from top of the line to like bottom of the barrel real fucking quick. And that's what I felt like throughout his whole run. And I understand that there's a generation of people that look at him as the same irreverence that I look at Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair, and I get all that. But I hate to say you're wrong, people, but you are. Like,
I remember back in the day shitting on some of these guys that didn't have a wealth of moves when they were active, right?
Yeah.
And listen, like we could say there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, some guys had a lot of injuries, some guys knew their body enough to not take too many risks, and just so many other reasons, right? Cena was one of the more athletic looking talents that we assume anyways was not on any performance enhancing drugs or anything like that, and he just moved like a tank, dude. He moved his body like it was the most rigid thing in the planet.
He was not a good athlete. Like
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say he was a bad athlete. What I would say, however, though, is that he did not have the level of agility that I think was necessary for what he was doing.
Right. He wasn't agile enough at times. I felt like everything that he was just, and then how he would call spots, I fucking hated it. And you can go on Facebook, you can go on YouTube and just type in John Cena calling spots. When it picks up on the, I fucking hate it.
Yeah, I hate it.
Like you should be on it, like it's, and you're a top star in the industry. Like Bret Hart never did that. Hogan never did that. Flair never did that. And you just hear tackle. No, don't fucking say it, asshole. Whisper in his fucking ear,
dude. Like, I know there are people that shit on the move, the collar and elbow tie up, right? That's what it's fucking for.
I know.
It's for communication.
Exactly.
Bring 'em in close, you communicate.
Side headlock.
They'll throw you off the ropes. So
People are like, it's a rest hold. Yeah, they're communicating, dipshit.
Yep.
You know, talk to the referee. Referee can go over and try to give instructions, but the referee is just like, this is what we're going to do. Okay.
Yeah. Every time you see the referee going close, and then 5 moves later it's over, it's because they told them to go home.
You know how Flair and Steamboat communicated? Through their fucking eyes. That's how they communicated the match.
Yeah.
And they put on
Cody tells a
5-star classics.
Cody tells a great story about Punk himself, ironically enough, when they were in the Rumble over 10 years ago at this point. And Punk is talking to him before the Rumble starts. He's like, I'm up before you, you're up before me, what do you want to do? Like, is there anything you want to do? And Cody's like, and Punk's like, come on, man, it's your time. Like, you got to shine. Like, tell somebody you want to go out there with them when you're going out and have a moment with them. Do that. And, of course, Cody goes out there and clubs the Undertaker in the back of the head. Probably was not the best move. Taker sold it, though. And then Taker puts his head down and is like, drop kick me. That's how you fucking communicate.
Yes.
You talk about shit before the match. You talk about shit during the match. You hide your fucking face. You hide your mouth. Whatever you need to do. Or, like I said before, you do the headlock. You do the collar elbow tie up. You do other moves. You throw them against the fucking turnbuckle. You go in close. You whisper something in their ear. Then you whip them across the other side of the ring. There's so many different ways of doing that. And I hated the fact that he was like, drop kick, shoulder tackle.
Oh God!
It's just shuffle. Like, shut up.
John. That is not being like that. Automatically puts you in a lower grade or a lower tier because of that, and it's just he never changed one aspect of his character from 2005 till now. It's been the same fucking character for 20 fucking years. It's been the same character. No change or nothing. He wears the same thing. The only fucking thing that's changed is his goddamn t-shirt colors. That has been it.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed. And that has been my biggest problem. Like, it's just, even Jericho, and I hate Jericho, but Jericho at least made subtle changes to his character. Yeah. Whether it was the way he looked or the way he acted, he at least reinvented himself. Cena never did that. He never did that at all. And that's been kind of my biggest problem with him as being a top star and being remembered as a GOAT.
I remember the time that he tried, he was a heel for like a couple months, and it was just so bad. It was so awful.
Yeah.
It's like, John, what are you doing? Like when he was the Doctor of Thugonomics, I thought it was hilarious.
I did
And
too,
then
but
ever since they put him in that stupid movie a couple months after Doctor of Thugonomics, the Marine, it's like that was his character and that was it. And then
that's it.
every time they tried to turn him heel after that, it just fell flat. He sucked at it. He was not a convincing heel at all.
I just hope that it's a fun event. I hope everybody enjoys it, all of our listeners and everybody that also reads on Pro Wrestling World Talks, Pro Wrestling World on Facebook, and also listens to us, staff members, of course. They're probably just like, oh, God. They probably all love John Cena. And I'm just like, fuck you. I don't care.
That's a
Because all these kids that are in their 20s that grew up with him as their champion, their guy, and you got guys like me that are just like, no, I thought he was terrible 20 years ago, and I'm gonna stick with it. But I hope everybody enjoys the Royal Rumble. Me and Mac are actually going to be watching it together, so that should be fun. Should be fun company. I think getting.
uh-oh.
Wings and nachos are going to be high as a kite, but usually that happens anyways.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh, come on.
No, you're good. You're good. It caught
Okay.
up. It caught up.
Okay.
You're okay. We're okay.
Okay.
We're okay. You were like "Blah, for a second because
Yes.
it caught up, but yeah, I hope the wing and pizza and food situation is going to be a good one because
I need me some nachos.
what wing?
Yes.
Yeah, I want some nachos too. Actually,
I want some nachos. I want some wings. Yes, bourrin, indeed. So yeah, tomorrow should be fun.
special start time, 6 p.m.
6 o'clock.
I think the pre-show starts at 5. I'm reading that's probably going to be a 4-hour show, which would make sense considering a 6 p.m. start time. But
Hopefully it's done by like 9:30. That'd be great.
you know what? There's one thing that I want to say real quick before we go. I don't know how to say this in the way that I want to here, and I'm just thinking out loud, obviously, because I say the pre-show and I immediately thought of somebody else that I think would be awesome, but I don't know if he's going to get cleared, and that's Big E. I would love Big E to come out.
That is a distinct possibility, though, considering the fact of what they've been doing with the New Day.
That's why I'm saying it. I hope that New Day knocks like 2-3 people out. They get so excited, starts counting down, and all of a sudden Big E comes out.
That place would fucking go apeshit.
Yeah.
If he cut, that might be one of the biggest pops in the history of the industry, in the history of the Rumble. And don't get me wrong, that hasn't escaped me. Because I've been thinking that for a while. It's been kind of in the back of my brain of he might come out the Rumble, because I feel like that this is a perfect way to kind of a shocking moment for the Rumble. I mean, so that hasn't escaped me.
Yeah.
That very possibly could happen tomorrow. I don't know, but I mean,
We'll find out.
Yeah if it happens.
Yeah, I'll be pumped for that. I don't know if he's gonna get cleared for it. Maybe he just, comes out and just chills on the side and tries to get them out, or maybe he's not even a true entrant but knocks them out anyways, because that's happened in the past.
Right.
I'd be all for that. That'd be great.
I'm all for it.
Great storytelling.
Well, it should be a fun show tomorrow. I hope everybody enjoys it. On behalf of Pro Wrestling World Talks, me and Mac, we hope you enjoy the Royal Rumble. And be sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you find your podcast. And, of course, Diamond Podcasting Productions on YouTube. Mac, anything else you want to close out with tonight?
No, catch us next week when we review the show, because that's probably what's going to happen next week anyways.
Abso-goddamn-lutely. All right, folks. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Royal Rumble. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Ah, shit.